3 things I really do dislike on the new introduced Breitling Avenger. Let's go! Hello and good afternoon everyone, Konstantin aka Mr. B back with another video today about the Breitling Avenger, which was recently introduced by Breitling. And this one is special to me because I do own the Breitling Avenger, the Breitling Avenger Chronograph 2 in 43mm. So let's discuss about the new introduced one, what I do like, what I don't like so much, and what I would wish for the future. So guys, let's check it out and change the perspective to see what Breitling has to offer. So I would say let's explore the new Breitling Avenger which was introduced. First of all, we do find now a new dimension, at least for the chronograph, which is 45mm. So currently we can get the Breitling Avenger chronograph in 43, 45 and the Super Avenger in 48mm. So this is a great addition. Is it? Well, let's discuss this later on. But still, what I do also find very interesting to see is that they introduced again Titan material to the line. It was available before as well. You do have the black version. I do like sort of the Night Mission 45 with this green dial, green strap. The straps are also new. You can get them in green, in black and blue, also with different stitching. The subdials are now in the same color like the dial. This is what Breitling does more and more to differentiate the B01 movement from the ETA 7750 movement. What is interesting to see is that also on the website, when we scroll down, the current version, my version of the Super Avenger and of the Avenger chronograph, where do you have the different colored subdials and so on. But yeah, let's get back up here to check the current collection. So we do have the 43mm chronograph, list price about 5,550. You have the 45mm version with a blue dial here for 5,700 euros. And you do have, of course, also the Seawolf, which is new introduced. The Seawolf itself isn't new, of course, but they brought a new dial collar for 3,900 movement. To me, it is pricey if you consider that they use in these versions an ETA 2824 and or for the chronograph the Vuju 7750 movement. You do have as well here now a Night Mission Seawolf, which from my point of view looks pretty awesome, all black. So I do like what they add there. Thanks God they did keep the winged logo. I was every time, or I am every time, pretty afraid when Breitling does introduce new pieces to their existing collection, and I'm every time afraid that they cut out again the winged logo. I think they should reintroduce this logo also back to the Navitimer, but yeah, this is another topic. So a lot of new versions are introduced. Third diameter for the chronograph, which is 45mm. Before you could just get the Seawolf, the Avenger Seawolf in 45mm. Is this good, is this bad? Well, let's discuss this later on. Also, you can find here the GMT version. There was a GMT before. Now you can get also the GMT in 45mm, which is pretty interesting. But, and yeah, as you can see here, we also have the old Avenger available with the silver subdials, the Super Avenger and the Avenger II. So this is interesting to see. But guys, now let's check out the differences between the old and the new introduced Breitling Avenger. Alright guys, so let's check out the Breitling Avenger 2 on the left side, which is my version. Okay, I do have the one with the blue dial, and on the right side the newly introduced Avenger. Both are the version in 43mm, just to Remember, the new Avenger is available now in 43 and 45, and the Super Avenger as usual in 48 millimeters. But to make it easier, let's compare these two pieces here. And what is most obvious directly is, of course, that the subdials now have the same color as the dial has. On the left side, you do have the silver-ish subdials with this nice structure pattern here. Just zoom in a little bit here as well. So the design, the surface of the subdials is the same, but they take away, or what they took away is the color of the stop second here. The tip of the Breitling Avenger II does have a red highlight, so to say, as does the 30-minute counter, which I do sort of like in terms of the visibility. I don't know why they didn't keep it, because they made an effort to make this one more durable and more easy to read. They hired professionals to separate them. But yeah, this is the first thing which stand out as well. All the hands are now brushed versus polished. The case itself, when we go up here, you can see directly the old case and bracelet is 100% polished, which I do like. I do like this little bit of bling in my life. The new Avenger is 100% polished bracelet as well as the case, and this is just not applicable for the horns, but also for the flanks. It's very polished. I do understand that a lot of people do prefer a full brushed surface or fully brushed watch case. It takes a little bit away the attention, and yeah, it's not a bad way to do it. And I think a lot of people are happy about it. But still, I do like my blingy Avenger more. I prefer this, but this is just personal taste. The second thing you can see, of course, is the bezel. And when you compare here the bezel of the Avenger II with the new Avenger in 43, is they just made between 9 and 12, 12 and 3, and so on, indices. And from my point of view, this is the biggest issue actually I do have, because the Breitling Cold, which not is to find very easy on the website at the moment, does actually sport the same bezel. And to differentiate the Avenger from the Cold, it was the bezel from my point of view. Of course, this is not a new design. The older Avengers as well didn't have, or just have had indices here on the bezel. But still, I do like a lot my version of the Avenger II, and I don't know why they didn't continue this. I think it's more legible, it's easier to read, and it adds a little bit more of this military feeling from my point of view. But yeah, these are the main differences. Also, on the one hand, the subdials also are a little bit bigger. When you can see here on the Avenger II on the left side, the 30-minute track, the 30-minute subdial, you do have far more space on 12 o'clock. You can see the nice triangle here. On the right side, the new Avenger, the subdial seems far bigger. You have less space here. Also the dial, the subdial for the 12 hours, the 12-hour counter seems to be much bigger in comparison of the old Avenger. Also the Swiss made is smaller, shorter. Here it's much bigger, bright, wider. At least the 45, 30, 15 and 12 o'clock position on the bezel is polished, which I really do like. On the old Avenger, it is brushed. So yeah, these are the main differences. The movement is still the ETA, the Vosges 7751. The date is still at 3 o'clock, but the frame of the date is now missing. So overall, my personal taste is more about or prefers the Breitling Avenger II, but new Avenger isn't that bad. Alright guys, so we did talk about the differences of the Breitling Avenger II and the new introduced Avenger, and I mentioned in the beginning 3 reasons why I do dislike sort of the new Avenger. So let's talk about this. On the first hand, it is the amount of options you now get, which is not bad. I hope, I pray to God that they're going to keep the Avenger 2 in the collection and that is just an addition. And on the one hand, but on the other hand, Mr. Kern did say in the beginning when he started at Breitling that he would like to make the collection more easy and yeah, less flushed with thousands of different pieces. And this is the opposite right now. For example, the Breitling Avenger, the Breitling Navitimer. You do have the Navitimer, the Navitimer 8, 3-hand, chronograph, GMT, 7750 movement, B01 movement. And the same happens now with the Avenger line, with the new introduced Avenger. You have now the 43mm version, the 45mm version, the 48mm version. You do have, on the one hand, an addition, which is great, but you have more. And as the 43mm Breitling Avenger is a really big, hefty piece, and 2mm more don't make the difference, I don't see why there is a need for a 45mm version. So you do have the 48, you do have the 43. You could have cut out the Super Avenger, for example, because 48, this is massive. It's a big, chunky chrono. The 43mm version is already big and chunky, but the 48 Super Avenger, whoo! Same for the GMT. I think with the GMT, a lot of guys are more or less happy, but some of them are sad because from my point of view, it would have made more sense to introduce a 40mm GMT Avenger than a 45mm, because the 43mm version is already big. It has lots of wrist presence. And also a guy with 22 centimeter of wrist diameter could wear very well the 43mm version because it appears bigger than a 45, where guys with a smaller wrist tend to not purchase the 43mm GMT because it's already too big. So not so happy about the size. But let's talk about the other things. It's of course the drastic cut to make a polished and then now a 100% brushed version of the Avenger. Here I refer of course to the 43mm chronograph we did discuss before. And there is everything brushed. Of course, before everything was polished, just not the bezel. But still, this is where I do have sort of a beef with Breitling, that they just introduced this 100% brushed surfaces, brushed case, brushed bracelet. Why they did not choose to just brush the surfaces, so the horns, the bracelet on top, the bezel on top, and keeps the flanks, the sides of the bracelet, the sides of the bezel polished. So you have a much turned down chronograph or Avenger. It gets a little bit less blingy, but it still keeps like attitude. And I think this would match the Breitling Avenger very well. So yeah, this is actually my beef, the collection, the transparency of the collection, that they do a full brushed version. And the third thing is actually that they cut out on the bezel the figures between the main points at 12, 3, 6 and 9 o'clock. And also there, you do have the Breitling Cold line, the Breitling Cold chronograph, which has the same bezel now like the new Avenger, and especially to separate these two versions, even if you consider that the Colt is like the entry-level Breitling, or is seen as the entry-level Breitling, to separate them from each other, it would be very important to keep the figures, the numbers on the bezel as it was before. I think it's a cooler look, it's a rougher, more military-like look, and it fits perfectly the Breitling Avenger, where I do see the Colt as a little bit turned down version, where you do get already the brushed surfaces. So as well, again, here the question, why did you need to make a fully brushed Avenger? And yeah, these are the 3 points, the 3 issues and beefs I do have with the new Avenger. But right now I'm eager to know about, or to learn about your opinion. Do you say constantly, you exaggerate here, are you crazy? Or do you are with me on one page? Do you think the same, or do you think it's alright because it's an addition to the collection? Just share with me your thoughts in the comment section below. I'm eager to read your opinion about the new Breitling Avenger, the new introduced Breitling Avenger. I wish all of you guys now a very happy weekend, a good start into the new week. I look forward to see you in my next video. Say goodbye und auf Wiedersehen. Euer Konstantin. Ciao, guys.